England squad for the autumn internationals is out. It's been kind of chopping and changing a fair bit from the initial picks to some guys going out with injuries and some guys being brought in. And now, I think in the last 24 hours, some guys being sent back to their clubs, not needed for the first round of games. So there's lots going on with the England squad. Eddie Jones has quite openly said that he's cutting some guys loose, more or less, and that he's bringing in the next generation of talent to prepare for the World Cup. Why now, after the Lions tour, instead of after the last World Cup? I don't know the logic there, but Eddie Jones is certainly a much smarter man than me, so we'll see what he can do, but it is certainly a younger squad than any of the squads that I've had a look at thus far for the autumn. Certainly younger than the Springboks, who are, I think, bordering 28 years old as the average age. The Aussies are around 27, along with the All Blacks. The Irish, I think, are also around about 27. The only quirk with them is that their forwards are actually younger than their backs, which is unusual. But England are like averaging around about 24 years old, so significantly younger on average than the other squads that I've looked at anyway. So yeah, we'll go over some of the new faces, the squad in general, and some of the guys who have been omitted. We'll try to keep up with all the injuries, and you guys can let me know your thoughts. Hooker is an interesting one because you got Blamire, Dolly, and George. George wasn't even initially going to be there. He seemed to be one of the cast-offs, but with Cowan Dickey injured, he's been brought back in. Dolly's one of the new faces who's been playing really well for Leicester, but then he's been sent back to his club for the initial round, and then Blamire's your guy there with 2 caps, 23 years old, been playing well for Newcastle. So Hooker's a bit of a mixed bag. Props, Davison, Genge, Marler, Sinclair, and Stewart. All of those guys have been retained for the first round. They're not that old, with Marler being the oldest one at 31. And I love the England rugby social media stuff, the behind-the-scenes stuff they do. Like Marler talked about him and Courtney Laws talking to each other about how they're the old boys now. They have to keep up with the guys like Genge and so on. So, yeah, it's still relatively young with the guys mid to late 20s in their props. So definitely building towards the future. Marco Vunipola is conspicuous in his absence, but so is his brother. 2 of the seemingly casualties for that building for the next World Cup. Locks, Yules, Hill, Itoje, and then you've got Laws and Martin, who are kind of those lock loose forwards. I'm guessing it's going to be Itoje and one more. I know Yules cops a lot of stick from England fans, but Johnny Hill's been a bit of he's a big unit, so maybe he's a good partner for Maro, who's not. Maro's just got those bloody long arms of his, eh? He's the king of turnovers and dominant tackles, whereas I think physically as a bulkier lad, you're looking at Hill. So I don't know how Eddie's going to pick him. He may go with Laws, you never know. But Martin has been sent back to his club for the opening round. Lucy's Curry, Dombrand, Ludlam, Chick, Simmons, and Underhill. But of those guys, Ludlam, Chick, and Simmons have all been sent back to their clubs for the opening round. So Simmons is not going to get his next England cap, at least for a little while. But if you're disappointed for him, at least you should be pleased that Dombrand's there, because he's been in phenomenal form. Harlequins are a fun team to watch the way they're playing recently, but Dombrand is kind of a key guy to that. And Curry and Underhill, those guys are a bit of a, from a New Zealand perspective, a bit of a terrible duo, aren't they? They get through a ton of work. Dominant tackles as well. At the breakdown, very, very ferocious, and they're only 23 and 25. Like Curry, 23, Underhill, 25. That's a bit of a scary prospect given how young those guys are, and yet they're still kind of 20, 30 caps into their careers. Backs, Mitchell, Quirk, and Youngs are the 3 halfbacks, but Quirk has got a niggle for at least for the moment, so he's not going to be available for the first game, so it'll be Youngs and Mitchell. So Mitchell and Quirk are kind of the 2 new guys on the scene, so I'm sure Mitchell's going to get his first cap. He'll at least be on the bench for that Tonga game, so kind of brought it like such contrasting ends of the spectrum, right, with Young's 109 caps and then 2 guys yet to appear for England yet. Randall was supposed to be there, but he's another one who's out with injury. Farrell and Smith are your 10s. The obvious omission is George Ford, and he's been phenomenal recently. The recent week of the Premiership, he was on absolute fire. But yeah, how Eddie lines them up is going to be interesting. Marcus Smith's got a niggle, so they're not even sure he's going to be available for the first game. If he is, I'm sure he'll be on the bench. And then maybe he comes on for a wee bit at the end, and Baz moves to 12. But I mean, Farrell's captain, so he's going to be there, whether you like it or not, because he gets a lot of stick in social media, even from England fans. I thought it was just everybody else that gives that guy stick, but nope, it's England fans as well. But yeah, also opposite ends of the spectrum, 93 caps for Farrell and 2 caps for Marcus Smith. The midfield is also an interesting one because you got Atkinson, Marchant, Slade and Tuilagi. Now, Atkinson's a guy who I've only really watched in the last couple of years, and especially seeing as I've been watching the Premiership a fair bit this year, I've seen him quite a lot, and I figured, I don't know how old he is, but he's 31, and I just figured he's one of those guys who's just kind of like a solid Premiership guy throughout his career. We have guys like that, have a solid Super Rugby career, and never really get anything at the next level, but at 31 years old, he could make his debut for England, which would be quite an achievement because, yeah, by the time you're 31, if you haven't been capped, and especially if you're a back, you usually haven't been capped. But there you go, he's in the squad, so congratulations to him. Marchant was one of the guys called in after other people dropped out, and then Slade's been in great form for Exeter, so surely he starts, maybe Tuilagi aside him. Hopefully he can stay fit, because that guy just gets injured, doesn't he? But he's not at the moment. Backs, like outside backs, you got Liner, May, Radwan, Freeman, Furbank, Malins, and Stewart. Freeman has been sent back to his club for the first round. Liner was called in because Malins has got an injury, but apparently he's carrying an injury of his own, so he's been sent back to his club. Freddie Stewart's got a niggle. Yeah, Malins, like I mentioned, is injured, so I don't know what it is. Are these guys just playing with injuries for their Premiership clubs, and then when they get to England, they actually get a break? I don't know. I mean, Radwan, I'm excited to see. Him and Johnny May on the wings would be phenomenal, wouldn't it? Because they're just both excitement machine wingers. I mean, opposite ends of the kind of the age and experience scale, but they are both very fun to watch. I hope Stewart's fit because he's looked great under the high ball for Leicester. Furbanks, he's been around for a wee bit now, but he's only amassed those kind of 4 caps in his time. So yeah, there's no Watson, he's injured. There's no Daly, he's had surgery I think a while back, so he's not available. As I mentioned, Malins, Liner, Quirk, okay, halfback. Yeah, other guys injured. So Adogwu is injured. Injury list is long. So I mean, Ollie Lawrence doesn't seem to be. He's not selected on form, so that's Worcester's not been in great form, but he had a good game the other day, I think. Singleton seems to be on the out of the Woody Polars. Like, there's a long list of omitted players, but the injury list is the most concerning one. I guess if they do get a little bit of a break, they will at least get to rest up and recover. But yeah, it's an interesting England squad. Maybe good for them that in terms of the fixtures. I know Tonga will get some of their own players back now that the test window is open. They were without some of those guys for Scotland, but realistically, England should be beating Tonga pretty comfortably. So maybe it's good that game comes first, so these guys who've got those niggling injuries can recover. And then you've got the Wallabies, who are having a bit of a renaissance under Dave Rennie. Although England's had the wood on the Wallabies in recent times, they haven't faced a Dave Rennie-led Wallaby side yet, although they will also be without some of their guys who play in Japan who've not been released or couldn't get agreements with their clubs. And then the Springboks, who've kind of picked a squad at the other end of the age scale. They've kind of kept, like, the oldest squad that I've looked at. Yeah, so that will be an interesting one for England's kind of younger guys to go up against a more experienced Springboks lineup. But yeah, there's certainly a lot to like about the England squad. It is just the injuries that are troubling, but at least those will only be temporary. Albano, did I mention him? He's out with a long-term injury as well. So yeah, certainly some guys who will get their first caps. Alex Mitchell's probably going to be the first one to get him, because some of the other uncapped guys have been sent back, like Freeman, like Liner, and so on. Dolly. Those guys will have to wait a wee bit longer. We'll still have to wait a bit longer to see if Sam Simmons can get back into the fold. But yeah, you guys let me know what you reckon. How do you reckon the England squad's looking? Which areas do you think are the strongest? If you want some England rugby gear, check out the England Rugby store. I'll put a link in the description there, an affiliate of the channel. You can hunt around. They've got some pretty good deals on. Some nice jackets and whatnot. But yeah, a new jersey, new Umbro, the second generation Umbro jersey for England. So yes, you guys let me know what you reckon. Surely England, for their kind of, if they want to get an A grade, you need to get 3 from 3. Will 2 from 3 be pretty disappointing? Can they keep their edge over the Australians? Anyway, you guys let me know your thoughts, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.